All right, everyone, welcome back again to the PAC-South podcast. Welcome back, hockey, and another great weekend of college football. We say that every week, it seems like. Past 2 years have been just incredible football to watch, Pat. And we'll just dive right into it. Really, not where we expected to be at this point in the season. Lots of teams that were high in the rankings have now exited. Got some new teams in their place. Who's impressed over this last weekend?
Yeah, like you said, I think this has been a pretty good year for parity in college football. We've had, a few teams that have kind of differentiated themselves as maybe really good, but I don't know if we have that elite team this year. With that being said, though, the first team that impressed for me is, in my eyes, the closest thing we have to an elite team this year, and that's the Miami Hurricanes. I thought they went out, they took care of business against Florida State. Um, yes, Florida State sort of scored a few points at the end there to make it closer than it probably actually was. But if you watch that game start to finish, Miami was in control for pretty much the entirety of that game. And I think they're finally, doing what they thought they would be doing under Mario Cristobal, having that smooth operation, being the front runner in the ACC. So it's really good to see for that program, for those fans, that the U is on its way to being back. I don't want to have a Sam Ellinger scenario here where I'm pronouncing them back and they're not, but I think they're very close. And I think if you're a Miami fan, you have to be happy with the way Carson Beck's performed this year, with the way that Malachi Taylor's performed this year. I mean, it's a really, really fun team to watch and a really deep team defensively as well with Ruben Bain and some of those guys. So they're my first team. My second team, I'm going a little unconventional in the sense that this team is not very good at football, but they were very good this past weekend. And that's the UCLA Bruins.
Okay.
Huge win against Penn State. You put your OC in the middle of the week, barely have time to implement a new system, and then you go out and drop 42 points on what we all believed and thought was a really good Penn State team, and B, pretty elite Penn State defense. And
Yeah.
I don't want this to turn into a talk about Penn State and about James Franklin, but if you're Penn State, if that defense isn't playing well, what are you? That's supposed to be kind of the calling card of that defense. You've got one of the highest paid coordinators in football as your DC and Jim Knowles. So if you're not elite on that defensive end, I think that raises some questions about how many games Penn State can actually win this year. But enough about them. Hats off to UCLA. Doing that with the interim coach, a brand new offensive coordinator is really impressive, and good for Nico. He finally had a positive week to kind of quiet the noise around him a little bit, and I'm sure Vol Twitter was not very happy that he went out and balled, but good for the kid. And then lastly, this team has been kind of quietly tearing it up out west. And if you're not watching a lot of football after dark, for those of us here on the East Coast, you probably haven't seen a lot of them. And that is San Diego State. I thought they looked really, really good against, albeit not a very good Colorado State team. But they're quietly putting some wins together here. They've got a few, we'll say, decently impressive wins in Cal and we'll call Northern Illinois a decently impressive win. But I think San Diego State looked really, really good last weekend in a spot where they could have let their guard down a little bit. They had that big win against Cal 2 weeks ago, 34-0. And they come back, they kind of lay an egg against Northern Illinois and just gut out that 6-3 win. It was kind of one of those weeks where, like, all right, which one is the real San Diego State? Is it a team that struggles to produce on offense, or is it a team that can go out there, put up some points, and kind of excite you a little bit as a neutral? And I think they're going to be in that latter category. They put up 45 on, granted, not a great Colorado State team, but they're 4-1 now. They've got a pretty easy matchup against Nevada this weekend. So I think they're a team to just keep an eye out for, keep an eye on as we progress deeper into the Mountain West.
Yeah, and I mean, they could be that team in the Mountain West that sneaks up next thing you know. They're third place, second place, scratch and get into that championship. And, depending on how the season goes, I mean, they could be ranked or have the opportunity for a big bowl game if they progress. And I think that they are very much under the radar. I mean, that Cal win, especially like with what Cal's been able to do in some other games, they're very Jekyll and Hyde again this season.
Definitely.
But one week they look good, and you're like, okay, and then the next week they get blown out at home by Duke. I think that was the first time an East Coast ACC team was able to go west
It
and win
was, yeah.
their conference game. So I mean, very much ditching the norm, and for Cal, not in a good way. But yes, got to give a shout out as well to UCLA. They are not on my impress, but that was still impressive. It was very shocking that Penn State was able to do that. It's very hard not to make that game a Penn State talking point because of everything going on. James Franklin, he can't win the big one, can't win, the ones that he's going to win as well. So, I mean, next thing you know, like Penn State can't lose another game. Otherwise, they're out of the playoff in a year that many fans were saying this is national championship or bust. And they may not even be in the playoff this year. So, very concerning stuff in State College. I'll hop into my impress this week. I'm a lot different. First pick though is going to be Texas A&M. Yes, they played Mississippi State. I'm very high on the Mississippi State team though. They've played very sound football. Their only losses coming in the past 2 weeks to a very good Tennessee team and very apparently a very good Texas A&M team. They've now skyrocketed up the rankings to number 5. I've always been hesitant with Texas A&M lately, but Mike Elko seems to really have changed the culture there. This does feel a little bit differently than Texas A&M teams of past, where yes, they're good, but you just know they're going to drop a game in there somewhere. I don't know if I feel that way with this Aggie team. I think that they are much better and much more sound. I think Elko's fully changed it. He's got all his players in there now, second year at the program. I mean, he did this at Duke too, where he got things really sound, and that was a really tough team under him. So he's now gotten everything in College Station. So many college towns. So yes, I was very impressed with them. They will have a big game this weekend, whether people realize it or not, because the second pick of who impressed is hot seat Billy Napier. He is the best coach in the country when he knows he's fired that weekend. This raises a lot of question marks for Texas, which we'll get there later. But Florida played a lot better. This was kind of like second half of last season Florida against Texas. It really exposed a lot of the issues that Texas clearly has. But similar to the UCLA Penn State game, we can't make this a Texas talking point. Florida does deserve their roses in that regard. In games like the LSU game where they go to Baton Rouge and it's 20-10, they're in it. If they just didn't hand the ball to LSU every other play on offense, they could have won that game. And next thing you know, it's a completely different narrative for the season. And then, they lose a 2-point game to a South Florida team who their only loss is to Miami, and Miami is clearly one of the top teams in the country, very clearly. So, they get one field goal, or say South Florida misses a field goal. Florida's got a whole different season. So got to give a shout out to Billy Napier on the hot seat, which of course that then leads to the Texas A&M game this week. Is Billy Napier going to come in with that same fire? Is he going to have second half of last season Florida playing football again? Because all the pieces are there, and very obviously they have a legit defense. It would be very tough. I don't think Florida can get it done, but nonetheless, I think they're moving in the right direction. But of course, dropping this game would then move it to 2-4, so it's very hard to still make an argument. Because at the end of the day, you're paid to win football games. But if they keep telling him you're going to get fired this weekend, he might just. So my final who impressed is going to be the American Conference. The American Conference has played great football throughout the entire year. If you look at their standings right now, it is quite impressively top heavy. Teams like Memphis, South Florida, Houston Houston's in the Big 12 now. Anyway, they got their doors beat off, so they were
Doesn't
about to get
matter.
out of the picture anyway. They're back in the American. Teams like Tulane, lots of hype, and even a Navy team. They ended up playing a lot closer to Air Force than a lot of people thought. That could say it's a rivalry game, could say maybe Navy smoke and mirrors at this point, similar to NC State a few weeks ago. But nonetheless, that conference has multiple teams that I don't see how at this point in the season, unless it is, say an Old Dominion or a UNLV who continues just to win games, whether it's dominantly or just getting it done. I don't know how it doesn't just come out of the American Conference for the Group of 6 playoff team. So, got to give hats off to the conference as a whole. Soar the Eagle is very happy in his inaugural season. So,
Shout out Soar.
friend of the program. Yeah, so that's my 3 impressed picks this week. The American Conference is going to have great football to watch throughout the season, but at this point in time, we need to recognize what they've done in the first half. We'll now transition, as long as our recording software allows for it. We will talk a little bit about baseball. We are now currently about halfway through the LDS, or depending on what series we're in, we're at the end of the LDS. The Tigers and Mariners are currently playing right now in Detroit for Game 4. Do we still have a tie game in
We do
Detroit?
not. The Tigers blew this thing open in the bottom half of the 6th. It is now 7-3 Detroit.
Okay, all right. It looks like Brewers and Cubs have also started 1-0 Milwaukee, bottom first in Chicago. TV executives very happy about what's happening in Detroit. Obviously, Seattle fans are bracing for the inevitable. What have you seen so far in the LDS, and do you think you have any idea of our LCS picture here?
Yeah, I think we've had pretty good series, I'll say. I think the Dodgers Phillies series has probably been the most competitive. It's been 2 close games in both game 1 and game 2. Philly had a chance to actually win that game in game 2 and couldn't do it. But I think that game's been the closest in terms of, we'll say, separation between the teams. I still think, based on the way it's gone, Philly being down 2-0 with it going to LA now, I think the Dodgers are going to make it to an LCS yet again. And I really like what I'm seeing out of the Brewers. They played really good baseball all year. They kind of faltered down the stretch a little bit in late August to mid September, but it seems like they've righted the ship near the end of the year there, playing good baseball, playing confident baseball again. I think if it holds today, I think they'll probably sweep the Cubs and win tonight to get it done. So I think on the NL side, it's probably going to be Brewers, Dodgers, which should be fun to see. Small market baseball against the biggest spender in Major League Baseball right now, the Dodgers. And then on the American League side, I thought it was over for the Yankees last night. They were down 6-1 at one point, and then they rally. Aaron Judge finally gets his big moment, cranking that 3-run homer off the pole, and they wind up winning that game 9-6. Schlittler's pitching tonight, so you never know what can happen with him on the bump. I'm sure Yankee fans are feeling really confident, but I think Toronto's still going to find a way to win that series. They've clearly been the better team in terms of performance on a well-rounded basis. And then, man, it's tough to see the Mariners doing this right now. I thought they might be able to close it out, not have to get to that game 5 where you're going to be real tight and thinking about all the years of not getting it done and not winning a playoff series. That being said, I believe in Seattle. I believe in Big Dumper. I believe in J-Rod. I think they're going to lose today. They're down 7-3, but they're going to win it in Seattle and give this fan something to smile about.
Yeah, as it holds right now, 7-3, they're moving to the 7th. Brewers Cubs as well. We have a score update there. Cubs have gotten a run back.
Oh,
Still no outs in the bottom of the first and a man on first. So Cubs look to immediately be answering and then some for the Brewers. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty much with you on every single pick. I would say Milwaukee. I don't know if they'll be able to close it out in this game because Chicago knows just what they have. It's the first
yeah.
game back at home, and I mean it's very tough to sweep in any sport, any series, no matter who you're playing, especially in the playoffs. So I don't think there's a sweep here, but I do like the Brewers to win this series and get out of it, likely in four. Um, the Jays, I don't know if this game tonight will be close. Um, they have, from start to finish, yes, they dropped last night, but they've been the better team in this entire series. And I would go on to say that they've been the best team in this playoff so far
Mm.
with what they've been able to do. Dodgers being a close second, probably. But the Jays came into the playoffs as, like, you know, the best team, but not necessarily the hottest team going in. Well, and like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, where you don't know who's coming in hot, who's coming in cold, but then also it's the playoffs, so things also restart. So it's not necessarily guaranteed that you're going to be cold and then hot, or hot and then cold. Well, the Blue Jays have done that. They were just kind of like getting things done. As soon as they get into the playoffs, it's boom, whole nother gear. So I really like Toronto. I have a hard time not seeing them make the World Series at this point with the
Ooh,
baseball that they are playing.
okay.
So there you go. There's my LCS pick as well. Regardless of who they play between the Tigers and Mariners, I think the Blue Jays are just going to be too much. And also being Canada's, I mean, we don't know if home field will matter much in that case, other than just what locker room you're playing in. But Seattle and Detroit both, I believe, the two closest teams to a Canadian border. There
Mhm.
will be a lot of Jays fans at both series. I have seen games in Seattle with the Mariners where it is all
Wow.
Blue Jays in the stadium. So, I mean, it really is going to be probably 7 home games, whether it's Detroit or Seattle. For the Blue Jays, they're just going to be in different locker rooms and bat in a different order. That's all it is. So I really like the Blue Jays with this baseball, that fan support to make it to the World Series. Um, Dodgers, Phillies. This brings me a lot of pride in saying this. Unfortunately, it has to be for the Dodgers, but the Phillies are going to get destroyed and swept. That's the only sweep I have.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
they've been playing close ball, sure. They're just they're going to LA. LA is just so experienced in the playoffs. It doesn't matter what year it is. It's going to have to take some time for this organization to not be like this sound in the playoffs. They're almost guaranteed for the LCS every single year. And this is another year. They're going to make it to the LCS. They're going to get the job done. And then we'll just kind of see who's hot going into the next round for the Dodgers, and then potentially Cubs, Brewers. In this case, I'm thinking the Brewers.
Mm.
So there, there are my picks for LDS and half of my LCS projection as well. We'll talk more in depth about that next week. Any closing comments? I think we're still sitting. Cubs now first and second. Mariners don't get anything done. So no real update on the baseball side. But yes, closing notes for you, Pat, on baseball.
I'd just say if you're going to tune in to any of these games, I think probably the most interesting one today is going to be Chicago, Milwaukee on right now as we're recording. The Cubs are a really good team. Their backs are against the wall. They're at home. It's a divisional opponent. There's a lot of energy there. And I don't know. I know you're predicting a sweep, and I know I said the Dodgers were going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Philly comes out a little upset tonight and looking to prove a point.
Very fair. I mean, two very talented rosters, and our podcast will be going live in the middle of that game. So should be a good one. Have the game on the TV and the podcast on the audio. Shout out real ones. Switching back to football now, we're having a little bit of a change to our buy-sell segment this week. Instead of doing our typical 3 that we've been doing in every segment, this is just going to be one. We're going to buy one team. We're going to sell one team. And the kind of criteria that we went with for this was who had a quiet off season, who are we not really expecting to be doing better, and who we're buying into the hype. We're going with them rest of the way. This is our big pick, whether it's a conference championship, a playoff team, or bigger. That's just kind of who we are going to be buying in this segment. And then selling, um, who came into the season with the most hype and who's fallen off the most. Like, where, based on our, you know, preseason expectation and what we were expecting to see out of this team and program for the season, whatever result that may be, who fell off of that the most, and who do we expect to continue coming off of that? I will actually go ahead and start the
Ooh,
buying
switching it up.
this weekend with Georgia Tech. I am going to fully be a believer with the Yellow Jackets. I I think that you're a fan of that pick.
Yeah.
So, okay. Shall we announce your pick?
I was also buying Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. All right. The ATL is running deep this episode. Yeah, I mean, I think that they are a very good football team. Oh my goodness, what's his name? Brent Key has got them playing really good football. He has clearly built a program in Georgia Tech that was not nearly talked about enough. Yes, there have been some step backs with programs like Clemson in the ACC this year. We cannot decide if Florida State is going to be good or not.
Yeah.
So very clearly, it is going to be Georgia Tech and kind of Miami in our eyes, fighting for that top of the ACC and ultimately the conference championship. Any notes that you would like to share?
Yeah, just echoing your points, I think they were an undervalued team coming into the year. I was surprised that they weren't in the preseason top 25. And then I think the fact that they started a little bit slow against a Colorado team that we know now is not exactly very good didn't help things in their eyes or at the eyes of voters, but it is a really good team. Haynes King's a great football player. He's just a total gamer. What I would say about Georgia Tech is I think they have a really easy ACC schedule moving forward outside of one game. The only game that I am cautious, nervous, not really sure about Georgia Tech in moving forward is Duke. I think this Duke team is really starting to click, starting to hum, especially defensively. They went down 14-0 against Cal on Saturday and then just totally snapped it into gear and played lights out defense the rest of that game. So I think Duke, Georgia Tech, and Virginia are all going to be 3 teams kind of in a rock fight with one another for that last spot on who gets to play Miami. Florida State really had to win that game this weekend to, I think, still be in that conversation. I don't think a 2-loss team makes it to the ACC championship with how top heavy the conference is this year. So yeah, like you said, really like Georgia Tech. I really think they were undervalued. And I think realistically speaking, that's going to be a 10-1 or 11-0 team heading into the Georgia game. And I mean, that could be really electric, especially when you consider how close that game was last year.
Yeah, it was a very good game last year. If my memory serves me right, was that a 7 overtime game?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was a very electric finish in Athens last year. So for Georgia Tech, they get to play at Bobby Dodd this year. I guess this also begs the question. Let's say that they lose to Duke game. That's their one ACC loss, and they lose to Georgia. Does a 2-loss Georgia Tech team, whether they play in Charlotte or not, or I guess let's assume not right now, because then if
Okay.
they lose to Miami, they're a 3-loss
3 loss.
team.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole another question as well, which then reopens the argument of are conference championships worth it? But does a 2-loss Georgia Tech team with outside of Duke, who's currently unranked, uh, they have Georgia, who's ranked on their schedule left.
Mm-hmm.
No other ranked opponents.
True.
Who lost Georgia Tech? Is that a playoff team?
I'm going to go with no. So I would say no, especially if that second loss isn't to Duke. If they drop one to Virginia Tech this weekend, if they drop one to NC State, who they play at Carter Finley, you don't want to drop it against sort of those mid-tier ACC teams, and Virginia Tech is clearly not mid-tier, but you know, those types of games you cannot afford to lose. So I think if it's a close loss to Duke and Duke makes the ACC championship game, they still have an argument. I don't think they get in, but there's an argument. But I think if they lose to one of those mid-tier teams, don't lose close against Georgia, lose by, let's say, 14, 17, 20 plus, then I think it's curtains on a 10-2 Georgia Tech making the college football playoff.
Okay. Now, let's get real controversial. 11-0 Georgia Tech. They are going to Charlotte. They play Georgia. They lose. They play Miami in the conference title game. They lose. They just lost their last two games. They don't have strength of schedule on their side. Is that a team that can still sneak into the playoff? Because they just, I mean, you start falling real
Yeah.
quick
Yeah.
in these rankings. And then that would then create the argument if this team doesn't. And I mean, I would go on a limb and say, no, they can't go in because there's no other team that they've played on their schedule. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Clemson at the time of playing was
It's
still 12.
ranked. Yeah.
Unless something turns around there, they're not going to be ranked at the end of the year. And I don't see any other teams that could be unless Duke continues. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they may have one ranked win, let's assume, and then the other two ranked teams that they played at the end of the year, they lose to. So I don't know how you can justify getting them in. But then, of course, that second loss is only because they played
In a
their fifth
conference championship. Yeah.
conference championship. So then it really devalues teams going to it. Because unless you're a top four team, you're like, if I lose this game, I'm still in regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm 9, 10, 11, I'm right there on the fringe. It's not really doing me any good.
Yeah.
You're better off opting out if a conference can even allow that to happen.
True. Yeah, I think that's going to be a tough question for voters to figure out, or the CFP committee to figure out, because then you're kind of getting towards like SMU last year territory, where you're winning the games you're supposed to win, you're fulfilling everything that's put before you. You know, you can't change your schedule. That is the schedule that's given to you by the conference. Georgia Tech did not pick those teams as their conference opponents. Georgia Tech cannot control the fact that the ACC is going to be interesting and fun this year, but overall kind of weak. I think it depends on really the Big Ten. I think Penn State being at 2 losses already opens the door a little bit for either a second ACC team if they have a really good resume, or a second Big 12 team if they have a solid resume, to kind of sneak in there and replace one of the Big 10 / SEC spots. Because who knows, the SEC could totally cannibalize itself as well. We're not really sure.
It could. There's a lot of, obviously, with conference play really getting underway, there's a lot of big teams playing big games. And if they start trading one for the other, next thing you know, you got a conference full of 9-3 teams.
Greg Sankey's getting on the phone saying 4-game schedule next year.
He might already. Yeah, but I mean, you have teams like South Carolina and Florida who they have big games. Florida this weekend, Texas A&M, South Carolina. They have a gauntlet stretch of I believe 5
5,
ranked teams, and 4 of them are in the top 20, 3 in the top 10. Is it 6?
6, because it's LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M, and then I guess that's assuming Clemson gets back in the rankings. So it is 5 as of right now.
So, and I mean for the conference play though as well. Like, I mean, it would be an absolute disaster season for the Gamecocks if they can't win one of those.
Yeah.
But let's assume they're probably going to win
One.
One, we'll say. Um, and I mean, and if that one win is against a team like Alabama, who
That
already has losses, then it's like, okay, well, now they're back in to the playoff picture. To then,
yeah.
they're fringe. They're in the same situation they were last year.
And that's a 2-loss team at that point too, assuming they don't lose before the South Carolina game too.
That's correct. Well, and then you have a team, Texas A&M, where if Texas A&M takes a loss in there somewhere, and then they lose a game like South Carolina that they're not expecting, and then they play another one of their big ones. Next thing you know, they go from an undefeated top 5 team to 3 losses, and they're in the Ole Miss, Alabama, South Carolina category from last season. So it really begs, I guess the question of is the 9 game going to be sufficient? I mean, the Big Ten does it right now.
Yeah.
They've kind of cannibalized themselves. The SEC going to it next year. They might cannibalize themselves on an 8 game season because you have teams like Vanderbilt, who Vanderbilt is a fringe playoff team. They took the loss to Alabama, but I mean, if they get things back on track, they only have 1 loss.
True.
They will be back in that picture. So, yeah, just a lot of moving parts in that conference. The really only big bad team in that conference is Kentucky. Everything else is not a guaranteed win. Florida and South Carolina are teams that you still have to show up and play against.
Yeah.
Arkansas is still a team that you will have to show up and play against because they will sneak around and play and beat someone. I mean, you look at when Tennessee went there a few years ago, they were very clearly a better team. I believe they were like 30-point favorites.
Yeah.
And they lost. Maybe don't wear the orange helmets on the road for Tennessee, but I digress. Arkansas is still a team. So, yeah, it should be interesting to see where we are come the end of the year and how much these conferences cannibalize themselves.
Yeah.
ACC could get lucky if
It
that does happen.
It could.
So that's enough of the cannibalization for now. We will certainly see more later in October and in November as big conference games are played. We'll now sell our one team. And again, this is selling the team who came into the year with the most hype and who has just dropped the ball and is either continuing to drop or just they're not going to hit the goals that they had coming into the season. And I don't think there is a team that fits this more on off-season hype, on the expectation for this season, than the Texas Longhorns. You look at quarterback play, Arch Manning, who played fun football behind Quinn Ewers. Very clearly, there's a reason that he was the backup the whole time.
Yeah.
He just cannot get into a groove. So when you have the quarterback play like that, it's still a good team. They're going to win games. They're going to be a bowl team. But this was kind of a similar to Penn State, a national championship or bust type of year. They were like, once we get Arch Manning in there at quarterback, we're really going to get the offense going. It's going to be a prolific experience. And he misses like 10 straight throws against UTEP. And it's like, no, like people don't do that, especially if you're an SEC quarterback. So it leaves a lot of question marks. And I think if you're Texas, all of your eggs are in one basket with Arch. There's nowhere else to go. So I don't know. Texas has really let me down. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think that they're going to go to a Music City style bowl game.
Okay.
And just do what they can to, keep the pieces that they want to keep and then try again next year. I think, unfortunately for them, that this ship has passed.
Interesting. So I took it in, I guess, a slightly different direction. I went personally with the team that had high preseason expectations, a lot of chatter, a lot of buzz coming off what they did last year. And in my eyes, this is a team who's at serious risk if they don't steal a few games of missing a bowl altogether. And it's a team that you mentioned just a few minutes ago, TJ, South Carolina Gamecocks. This was a team that was ranked in the top 10, not preseason, this season, in the top 10 at one point, and now they are unranked 3-2, facing down that gauntlet that we just talked about of at LSU, homes against Oklahoma and Alabama, and then at Ole Miss, at A&M. Those are huge, huge games for this team. I've watched a lot of South Carolina football. I've been at multiple games this year. And I think the biggest question for this team, and if they can right the ship, kind of get it figured out, is the offensive line. If you're not protecting Lenore Sellers and he's running for his life back there, it's going to be difficult to win games on a consistent basis, especially against teams who have very good defenses like Oklahoma. So I think South Carolina's in some danger here. I think if they don't get things figured out, they're looking at, let's say they lose all 5 of those games. That's a 4-8 if you beat, or if you lose to Clemson. 5-7 season if you beat Clemson, and that is nowhere near where expectations were for this program coming into this year. So coming off this bye, going to Baton Rouge, I'm really intrigued to see what South Carolina is going to bring to the table. But for me right now, they're a huge, huge disappointment.
Wow. Yeah. Very fair. I mean, so Texas, even with missing their hype big time this season, still they're in that, they're a bowl game team.
Yeah.
South Carolina could very well, in the playoff, they were number 11 in the preseason, number 10 week 2, immediately falling out of the polls after playing Vanderbilt. Yeah, I mean that this could very well be nightmare scenario. They are a team that we're going to be in the playoff. National title conversation would have gotten there maybe later in the season
Yeah.
if they were there in the playoff picture. But definitely a team that they've figured we will be in the playoffs somewhere in there. And then, yeah, they may not even make a bowl game. So, yeah, very, very grim outlook in Columbia. So, yeah, very, very fair on the sells for the two teams. Sellers, if you will. Um, we will do quick hits really quickly on the predictions, Pat, and then we will go a little bit more into depth with our guest Melvin. That will be just myself today. But Pat, really quickly, we got 5 games on the docket. Um, let's hear what you got. We got 24 South Florida, North Texas.
All right, so I think I'm going against what I feel like you're going to pick in this one. I'm going with the Mean Green. I'm going with the home team here. I bought North Texas, what was that, 2 weeks ago, coming off their win against Army.
Can.
I think they are, yeah, technology. I think they are a really talented group. They got a lot of transfers in on defense from Sam Houston State, a really good Sam Houston State defense last year. So I'm going with the Mean Green to beat USF.
Okay. I will hold my picks for Melvin.
Okay.
So that way we continue with the quick hits for yourself. Number 8, Alabama against a rested Missouri team at home.
Yeah, so for this one, again, I think I'm going with the home dog here, and a pick that I probably, in this case, will regret. But I am backing another team that I bought. I think I bought Missouri 3 weeks ago at this point, in Missouri. So give me the Tigers there. Ahmad Hardy's an insanely talented running back. We saw that Alabama had a little bit of difficulty with Vandy's run game last week. And I don't think Missouri is going to run into the turnover problems that Vanderbilt did. So give me the Tigers. Kind of sucks for them that such a big game is a 11 a.m. local time kick. I'm sure Mizzou Nation is not pleased about that, but still, give me the Tigers here.
It could pay off well for them. I believe the Kansas game was also an 11 a.m. kickoff for them, and that game turned out pretty well. So, yes, Ahmad Hardy, great call out there. He's having a great season for the Tigers. And Bo Beulah was not picked as the starter to start the year.
Yeah.
We've mentioned that before. Sam Horn got the nod, I believe injured on his first play, which is just heartbreaking for the kid. But for the Tigers, it has worked out as Prbula has played amazing
Really,
coming
really
in
good.
after Sam Horn's injury. Number 10, Georgia at Auburn. This is a game that has had incredible moments over the last decade. Auburn coming in on a little bit of a slate. Who do you like here?
Yeah, in this one, I want to say it's going to be a close game, and I want to say that Auburn's going to fight hard, but I think the Dogs win, and I think the Dogs win probably not huge, but probably by like 2 touchdowns. I think Georgia has proven this year that they're still a very good football team. I think some of those discipline issues that they had against Alabama, Kirby's probably going to make sure that doesn't happen again against a pretty plucky or tough Auburn team here. But I think that in the Old South's oldest rivalry, I like the Dogs.
All right. Fourth game. This was originally not on the docket. It was the last minute write-ins. We decided we still had to show respect to this game. Um, although I did not show respect to one of the teams earlier, we have Texas against number 6 OU. Still sounds like John Mateer's availability is up in the air a bit.
Yeah.
Venables has been very cryptic this past week about his availability. It sounds like he's getting close, so whether or not Mateer is there, or they still got to play the game. OU has a great defense. Texas not a great offense. Who do you like here?
I like Oklahoma. Like you said, because of that defense, I think this is a classic Brent Venables defense. It's fast, it's athletic, it's going to blitz you a lot, it's going to get after you, it's going to make you think as a quarterback. And I think right now, with the way Arch is playing and the way that defenses are sort of messing with him, I think that's the last thing you kind of want if you're a Texas fan and if you're Steve Sarkisian. So I think Mateer or no Mateer, right? If Michael Hawkins is back there, I still think Oklahoma is talented enough to win this game. It might not be by a big margin if the backup's playing, but I still think OU pulls it out, and the Brent Venables revenge tour keeps on rolling.
Okay. And then our final pick. Once again, I will be making my picks later with our guest Melvin. Pat, your final pick of the day is our PAC-South game of the week and also college game day for 2 weeks in a row. We have number 7 Indiana going against the third-ranked Oregon Ducks. Oregon has proven that they can win big games. Indiana, still unclear what Illinois has, but nonetheless a statement win against a program that everyone is very high on. Illinois is able to get a win back against Southern Cal the following week, but nonetheless a huge, huge, huge road test for the Hoosiers. And really, if Oregon's season wasn't already defined, this is a defining game for both teams.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really good game. I think that people are starting to give Indiana its flowers, realizing that Coach Stig has built a really, really good team here. Um, However, I know I said, in my opinion, Miami's the only elite um, team based on how they've played so far. I still think Oregon is the most talented team in college football. So, with that being said, it's in Autzen. I think that Oregon is going to win. I'm not going to say big, but I think by at least a touchdown. So I think it'll be a little bit more comfortable win for them than what they experienced at Penn State. I think Dan Lanning has learned from the choke slash, maybe not to pull that when it's still the third quarter. But this is a really good Oregon team. Dante Moore has proven why it was a smart decision for him to sit out, wait a year, then get back into it after looking pretty overwhelmed at UCLA. So I like Oregon here, and I like Oregon to keeping on, I guess you could say, and ride this wave to uh, the Big Ten championship.
Okay. All right, there you have it. Pat with his picks for week 7, 6. I can't even. Week 0 really throws me off now. So,
Seven.
uh, yeah, for this week's college football. So for Pat, great week. as always with you. We will return here in just a few moments for us with our guest Melvin. It'll be me and him finishing up the show with some of his takes. Uh, Darkest horse this year, his paper tiger, and then predictions as well. So we will see you in just a few moments. All right, we are back, and please welcome to the PAC-South podcast, my good friend and the man who destroys community table. If you know, you know, my good friend Melvin. Melvin, it is awesome to have you on the podcast. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm good. Good to be on the podcast. Ready to give some hot takes, ready to stir the pot. Let's get it.
And that's the whole purpose of our guests on the podcast for sure. We'll just dive right into it. Melvin, what is your biggest college football take? Whether this season in general, what is going to get the people talking?
All right. And I'm a home team guy, born and reared in South Carolina. But this is going to be the biggest hot take right here. South Carolina's going to win out these next few opponents. We have LSU, um, Missouri, uh, Oklahoma University. They're all ranked. Alabama, they're all ranked like top 10. We're going to win out on all those.
It's really funny that you say that, and that's your biggest take because Pat and myself were just talking about just the brutal gauntlet. And yes, South Carolina may win a couple games, but we were not giving them very much credit. So you are here on your soapbox saying the Gamecocks are going to turn everything around.
Gamecocks are going to turn everything around. And this is why. Two words. Lenoris Sellers. Lenoris Sellers.
Yeah, that is true. He's incredible. I've always spoken very highly on him. I question the offensive coordinator for South Carolina, but I mean he is definitely magical. What he can do in the backfield and with the proper support, he can light up a scoreboard for sure.
Yes. And I honestly, I think it's this point in the season where they're going to make it or break it. But as long as they have number 16 out there, and he's doing what he's doing, especially when it comes to the game on the line, he is going to win it. These are going to be nail biters. The score is going to be close. At the beginning of the season, we played a little rocky, but I definitely believe that is out of the way. Because now we learned from our mistakes. We got what we got. We seen everything. We lost. So I honestly believe that we are going to win out. And the key component to us winning out is Lenoris Sellers. I think I you know what I'm gonna have to use it. But literally he has that Cam Newton ability when he was at Auburn
Okay,
to just take over the game. Everything is gonna start with him. When he's fired up, the rest of the team's fired up, we're gonna win out.
okay. All right, I love the take. I appreciate the fieriness and the unexpectedness of it, and that's exactly what that question category is for. There, who is your darkest horse this season? Who are we not giving enough credit to? That's going to really turn it up.
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt. So you think they're for real?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Vanderbilt. 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 I mean, just look at the transition from last year to this year.
Yeah.
It's literally insane the way how confident this team is. Like they're going against ranked opponents and playing them like they've been a powerhouse this whole time. You
Hmm.
know? Um so for me, with Vanderbilt, it's just their confidence. They go in there, they have and their quarterback, he has this swagger about him. Um, he just knows how to corral the team around him, and get them going. Even though they beat, South Carolina, we were ranked, but just going back to that game, you just see how they were playing. It's just like we don't care if you're number one in the nation. We don't care if you're 25. We're gonna go and do our job, and we're gonna dominate. I just love that mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Diego Pavia. He is a great quarterback and probably an even better locker room presence.
Hmm.
So okay, so Clark Lee and the boys, they're going to keep it going, and they're going to continue their kind of magical run here in
Yes.
2025.
Yes. Kind of like a
Okay,
Cinderella run, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, and I mean, if there was ever a team, that would kind of be like that, like true blown underdog Cinderella story in the SEC, it would be Vanderbilt. They've been the
Yes.
punching bag for so many years, and now all of a sudden, they got a good club.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So Vanderbilt, our darkest horse for Melvin. Who is your biggest paper tiger? Who is not really all that they're made out to be?
Indiana.
Wow, not a fan of Coach Sig.
I mean, it's not really the coach, it's just the division that they're
Mm-hmm.
playing in. It's their
Mm-hmm.
conference. It's their conference that they're in. Um, they had a great year last year.
Indeed, yes.
And then when it was time for the playoffs, what happened?
Yeah. Okay.
You
So
know,
not like in the Hoosiers. Do you think that the Big Ten is too much for them? Do you think that they're able to get by with games of against more inflated opponents, or what do you think it is there?
I need them to have a tougher schedule.
Okay. Not so.
Um,
So Coach Signetti specifically has called out SEC non-conference schedules. He has done that there in Indiana. So you think that that is a direct detractor for Indiana?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I need Indiana to have a tougher schedule. I just need them to have like kind of like what Carolina had last year. I think we had the second most difficult schedule last year. Um,
It was top 10 for sure. It was
yeah,
it was
top
very
10.
high.
Yeah, top 10. It was very high. Hoosiers are not there.
Okay. Well, I
That I
will say
need.
we will get to it here in a moment, but they do have a tough game this weekend, and they could prove to be legit. I do believe I know where you are going with that, so I will allow us to slide directly into our project or predictions. But of course, the first game is going to be number 24 South Florida traveling to North Texas, a North Texas team who has looked shockingly very good this year. They have a blowout win at Washington State. South
Hmm.
Florida, of course, big win at Florida, and unfortunately, their only loss to Miami. Who
Yeah.
do you like in that American Conference game?
Oh, it's gonna be University of South Florida, 100%.
Okay,
They
we
are
will
they
we will
they're
differ
doing.
there.
Yeah,
We will
they're
differ
yeah.
there for sure.
They've been playing really good. They have
Hmm.
been playing, and they've been shocking the nation this year too, because nobody's expected them to play how they're playing.
Indeed, I would agree. Byron Brown is a great quarterback for them.
Yeah.
I just think that with it being a road game, it makes it a little bit tougher on them. I think if this game was in Tampa, I would
Hmm.
go the other way. But I just think North Texas has been too strong as a unit this year. And if they can slow Byron Brown down, even just a little bit, I think that's enough to get the job done. So I like the mean green there.
Okay,
Well,
Mean Green. Which Mean
we'll,
Green?
we'll slide to the second game. This is big implications for the SEC this year.
Yes.
Number 8 Alabama, who appears to have righted the ship with their opening loss to Florida State. They now
Hmm.
have two back-to-back wins against Vanderbilt and Georgia. Going on the road again to Columbia, Missouri, playing the 14th ranked Tigers.
Mm.
What do we think?
I have Missouri.
Missouri.
I have
Okay.
Missouri. And the reason why I have Missouri, because when Missouri goes against top ranked teams, they just love to. It's going to be a defensive game, and it's going to be Missouri's defense that's going to hold Alabama. I think Missouri's defense is going to show up. It's going to be a close game for sure, but I think Missouri is going to have the edge in that one.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you, Pat. Also taking the Tigers. I like Missouri. I think that the offensive production that they've had has been more consistent throughout the entire season.
Yes.
And yes, you stack the defenses up, they're quite similar to each other, but I think Missouri does get a slight edge. And just
Yes.
putting them at the home environment, Alabama knows this is a big game. This has been circled on their schedule, but they've had a lot going into this game. Missouri has had a little bit of time to sit, prepare. I believe they're just coming off a bye week as well. So, very rested team. So I like Missouri. They're going to get it done, and
Oh
this
yeah.
is going to be a big statement win for them at this point in the season.
Yes. Yes. A huge statement.
All right, staying still in the SEC though, and with an Alabama team, we have number 10 Georgia traveling to Auburn. This is the Deep South oldest rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jackson Arnold's played good for Auburn,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it's enough here. Georgia's playing with a lot of fire after Alabama
Yes.
loss. What are you
Yes.
thinking here?
Oh man, I don't know. This one right here, I have been trying to figure out. For some reason my gut is telling me an upset.
Upset on the
An
Plains. This has been
upset.
a crazy rivalry the last decade. I noted that with Pat earlier.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes. So something is telling me that the War Eagles are going to come on top. Um I know, they've been a little bit up and down. Um but this one's going to be definitely a nail biter. Um and you know how it is with SEC football. I mean, you know, the teams that you think that are, have been on it, haven't been consistent, they're gonna, fall off. But I don't know. I got Auburn taking this one. I'm just gonna go with my gut. I have Auburn
okay.
taking it, and it's gonna be down to a field goal.
All right. Field goal game on the Plains. I unfortunately cannot share the same sentiment. I think that Georgia's just too good.
Hmm.
They're obviously a bit annoyed with that Alabama loss at home and what was a very good game.
Yes.
Um, but this is a very good Georgia team, and I think Auburn has been able to come out this year, and they've played a lot better. As I mentioned before, Jackson Arnold has played very good quarterback for them after
Yes.
transitioning from Oklahoma, but he just doesn't get enough protection. I think the offensive
Hmm.
line for Auburn has just really let them down this year. And as they play these bigger, faster, stronger teams in the SEC, it's only going to become like more of an issue for them.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard for Arnold to like stay on his feet. It's going to be hard to establish the run game. And if you get one dimensional for Auburn, Georgia's just going to eat that up. And I
Hmm.
think it's going to be too much. They may hang in there for a little bit. You love a little bit of rivalry chaos. I just don't think it'll be enough. And I like Georgia there.
Okay.
Another rivalry game, another SEC game. We just wrote this in right before the show started today.
Hmm.
Uh, Texas and OU. Texas has really been a letdown for me, especially. They were my big sell of the week earlier in the show. And Oklahoma's played really good. It's unclear if
Yes.
John Mateer is going to play, but Brett Venables calling the defense once again.
Hmm.
Who do you like in the Red River rivalry?
I'm going with Oklahoma. 100%. Um, Brett brought Brett brought back that defense to Oklahoma. Um,
Hmm.
there was a long time where Oklahoma. When you think of Oklahoma, it's just offense, but
Hmm.
he's definitely brought that defensive mindset to the school. Since his regarding his history is defense, but
Hmm.
I'm going with Oklahoma. I was expecting a little more from Arch Manning this year.
Yeah.
Um, considering the times that he has played last year with Quinn Ewers out. Um but I'm going with Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been playing really good. They've been very consistent. Their defense has been doing what they need to do. Their offense has been doing what they need to do on both sides of the end of the field. So I'm going with Oklahoma on this one.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you again. I don't need to say a lot. We've already spoken a little bit earlier about Oklahoma, uh, and it may just be more of Texas has just let us down so much. I mean, Arch
Yeah.
Manning I mentioned before, like he's really struggled against lesser teams, and now Oklahoma, a team that is one or two in a lot of defensive categories this year. I don't think it matters who starts at quarterback this game. I think that just the defense is going to be so suffocating for them.
Yeah.
It'll be closer than we expect because it's just such a crazy rivalry. But end of the day, I think OU will take care of business in the second half. So
Yeah.
I believe that is a clean sweep for the Sooners as well with us. And that brings us to our final game of the week, the PAC-South game of the week and second week in a row, college game day. Your paper tiger, number 7 Indiana, is going on the road to Oregon. Oregon now gets to play one of these big games at their home stadium
Hmm.
with that great environment that they have. Coach Signetti has a lot on his plate. Am I correct to assume in this case, Melvin? Who do we like?
Oregon.
Period. Okay.
Oregon. Go Ducks.
All right. To me, I don't think it's that cut and dry. I really like Oregon. They're obviously very, very good. Pat mentioned before, Dan Lanning has learned to not do his throat slash in the third quarter like he did against Penn State. Um, I feel like this is like it's a big game. College game days there. Everyone's going to be preparing for it. I just feel like it's going to be slightly off guard. I still think that Indiana gets disrespect. And case in point, that's your paper tiger. I
Hmm.
think I think this is a legit team. I think Coach Signetti has brought a much different swagger than has ever been had in Bloomington. Uh, Not to say Coach Corso many years ago did not have a great team or program, but I think this is just a revitalization that no one expected there.
Yeah.
So I think this is the statement game for Indiana to prove that they do belong in the conversation with the big dogs. And
Yeah.
that last year in the playoff, that was, just a brutal draw. I mean, they play against a team that makes it to the national title game on the road. It ended up being one of the closer games. So
Hmm.
I think Coach Signetti, he's got that program going in the right direction, and this will be kind of the feather in the cap win for him here in year 2, I believe.
Yeah. We'll have to see on that one because man, Oregon's head coach, man, he's a genius. I mean, he does have his faults sometimes, but
Yeah,
I
Dan
just don't.
Dan Lanning is a great football mind. You have to say.
Man, he has a great football mind, and this I just don't see Indiana just beating Oregon on both sides. Now, it's a very good program. Don't get me wrong on that, but I just think they're not there yet.
Okay. All right, big test for the Hoosiers. As we said, Oregon looks to continue to get it done. As we wind down to the end of this episode, Melvin, do you have any final words as your first guest appearance and the first guest ever on the PAC-South podcast? Any closing remarks from you?
Yes, Cox by 90.
Cox by 90. We've officially entered Cocktober. Uh,
Cocktober.
There you go. You heard it here first. They will run the gauntlet. So we will have to see. But college football, we're going to have another great weekend as we have this entire season. So for Pat earlier, Melvin, and myself, TJ, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Let's go.